The Gun Barrel City Board of Adjustments will meet in a regular meeting in City Hall Council Chambers located at 1716 West Main Street, Gun Barrel City, Texas, on Thursday, February the 1st, 2024 at 2 p.m. We'll call us to order. Roll call from my left.
Linda Tracy here.
Sikora here.
Mullins here.
Eric Gore here.
All right. Chairman's explanation of procedures. It takes 4 affirmative votes in order for this variance to be granted. If a variance is denied, the only course of action for the requester is to file an appeal in Henderson County District Court. Item number 1, new business. 1A, discuss or take action to approve the minutes of June 15, 2023 Board of Adjustment meeting. Do I have a motion?
I move that we discuss and/or take action to approve the minutes of the June 15th, 2023 Board of Adjustment meeting.
A second.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Vote for my left.
That's you.
I approve it.
Sikora, yes.
Mullins, yes.
Eric Gore, yes.
1B, discuss or take action to appoint a chairperson. Do I have a motion?
Are we making a? Okay, so I would move that we would appoint Marty Mullins chairperson.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Eric Gore, second.
Vote for my left.
Yes.
Sikora, yes.
Eric Gore, yes.
Okay. 1C, discuss or take action to appoint a vice chairperson. Do you have a motion?
Well, yeah, we can do it. I don't want to do it, but we can do it.
All right, I'll make a motion to appoint Mr. Sikora as vice chair. Do you have a second?
Yeah, second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Vote for my left.
Tracy, yes.
Mullins, yes.
Eric Gore, yes.
Motion passes. 1D, consider approving the request from Natasha Durham involving Lot 108 in Sherwood Shores subdivision located at 118 Little John Street, Gun Barrel City, Texas, 75156 for a hardship variance to Chapter 156.032, single-family detached residential district R3, Section C, dimensional requirements, paren 1, residential uses, paren D, minimum yard setbacks, paren 1, front 25 foot of the Gun Barrel City Revised Code of Ordinance due to a definition layout in the Chapter 155.04, definition, Section B, paren B, definitions, paren 1, front building setback line, asking for a 20-foot variance on the east side of the property according to the provided survey to allow construction of a single-family home. We have a presentation.
Hello. I'm just wanting to show you that this is going to be the property that we're going to be discussing today. And then this is kind of just a top-down view of what we're looking at. The applicant originally applied for a permit on December 6th, and the building official gave the plans back and denied them due to the required setback not being met. And then they pretty quickly turned around and applied for a variance request. When they applied for that variance request, we sent out letters to the properties within 200 feet and then posted the newspaper notice on January 18th. This is the 200 feet circumference, the 200 feet that we sent letters to, we received 5 letters back in opposition. So this is just a view of the survey that they submitted that shows where the setback is. And if you want to go to the next slide, I kind of highlighted what the main issues are, is that the 25 feet on all sides. That's what they're really looking at, and more so on the Sherwood Shore Drive, that 25-foot setback and where they want to put that proposed house. The definition in our code lays out that the front setback has to be applied anywhere that there is a street right-of-way. So that's, I circled specifically the one that is most similar to this property, where it shows that this front setback has to be on both sides of that property. And then I just highlighted it in our code where it states that the front setback is 25 feet, including the definition. And then I wanted to show you guys kind of some street views based off of the survey. So the arrow is showing you where the view is based off of the survey and kind of how you're looking at that property. So that's kind of like a front view. And then if Janet wants to go through them, you can kind of see the different and then for you guys today, those are your considerations. You can approve the request, suggest modifications of the request, or deny the request, and it must be included in your motion. So, and if you want to go to the next slide. The property owner and the representative of the property owner is here as well. And if you have any questions for me or anything.
Have you got any questions for? No?
No? Okay.
All right, do we want to have the property owner speak?
Good afternoon. My name is Gage Parks. So I'm requesting, the 25, what's originally here is the 25 feet on both sides. I'm requesting at least 25 feet on one side and 5 feet on another, or some sort of modification. The house we have proposed is for a family member, but also her mother who will be living with her. So I know when looking at the lot, it's 25 feet on both sides. And I know when we went to purchase it, we tried to do a little bit more of a due diligence before we purchased it to make sure everything was good. We looked at the deed, and there was a 25 feet from the, 20 feet from the front and 5 feet on the sides. So, after looking at the plan, we thought we were okay. My wife's she's a realtor in the area. So I know she had mentioned she came up here with another realtor, Marty, and she said she had spoke to Shannon, and she showed him the survey. And he didn't say anything on the moment. He could have been busy, and that's fine. But I know we try to look at the deed. We try to do everything we can, talking to other realtors about the lot, to make sure that this lot was okay to build on. And so with 25 feet on both sides, that's severely limiting really anything we can do, because that leaves me 30 feet to build on, and it has to be 2-story, which then my wife's sister, her mother's not going to be able to live there. Being 2-story, it's just an issue. And then, not that it matters, but should she sell it, 2 stories are just harder to deal with, because most people don't want to deal with a 2-story, and understandably, I don't want to either. So that's why I'm asking for 25 feet on one side, 5 feet on the other, or at least 20, 10, something, because I know a concern is that you may have to run some line or something of that case, and you need the space to do that, with a 2010, 25, 5, I think there's more than enough space to run any line that you would possibly need to. But also with it being a already established neighborhood, I don't see that really being a case. And if you guys have any opinions, I'd like to know.
Anybody have any questions?
How big is the house?
About 2,100 total, 1,800 under air.
2,100,
Yes, ma'am.
two?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Oh. So yes, it is for 20 feet. The reason why I said those other numbers was just maybe there's a compromise to be made. But what I'm asking for is one side, a 20 feet variance.
So to leave the 5 feet,
So,
basically, you're just leaving the 5 feet, asking for the.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, if nobody else has any questions, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Is there anybody else that'd like to speak?
I'd like to hear from the opposition.
Just shut up. Go ahead.
Sir, did you call upon the property owner or the builder?
Builder. She's currently at a right now, so I'm just.
I thought you called for the property owner.
He's representing the property owner. Yes, ma'am?
My name is Katie Vinsky, and I live at 135 Little John, catty corner across the street, and I face this lot directly in my front yard. I've been there 15 years. I remodeled a house there, and Shannon can tell you, my house is ADA compliant, and my house is completely code compliant. Everything. No brother-in-law deals, no inside jobs, no who's knows who and who's related to who, okay? We're not doing that. We're trying to keep this town professional, okay? If we're gonna have boards and we're gonna have codes and we're gonna have, the deed restriction is about 40 years old. The new restriction is 25 feet, and I have to stay with the 25 feet. If I have to stay with it, he needs to stay with it. I mean, it's just part of maintaining. The house next to me sold for $850,000. The house next to him sold for $800,000. This is not just a schlocky neighborhood that somebody shows up and says, well, I want to build it here and I'm just going to do this. That particular side of the house is either going to be a garage. We don't have any plans, so I have no way of judging. It's either going to be a flat brick wall, or if it's parks, it's going to be rock on the bottom and, you know, and whatever, the hardy board on top. I can tell you, I know what he does. He did my friend's house, John Ryman's house around the corner, so I already know. I've worked with him. Okay, and that will either be no windows or it'll be 1 or 2 bedroom windows. We have no plans, we have no idea what is gonna be on that lot, okay? Somehow Shannon said they gave the plans back to them. When you submit plans and you're denied, why do you submit the same plans back? Don't you alter them? Don't you make an attempt to adjust them to meet whatever it is?
That's not our duty.
No, but I'm saying most people get a plans back. They don't just come here forward and say, well, I'm gonna build it anyway. That's, you know, your ruling is on all of us and all the letters that you've got.
Understood.
The POA president, I read his letter. So we all try to maintain that neighborhood because of the prices. And if we start putting things in, and then like he's saying, resale value, well, that has no resale value to us at all because it doesn't meet code. The people who buy that house will have to, as per Shannon, yesterday when I stood right there, they'll have to bring the house up to code. Now what are they gonna do, chop half the house off? Okay, so I mean, this is really something that got way out of hand, and we shouldn't even be here.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else want to speak?
Good afternoon. My name's Earl Bruner. I'm the former vice president of the POA. I've resided in this neighborhood for 20 years. It's a well-established neighborhood. I'm opposed to the variance, as 6 other residents that you've received correspondence from with regards to the present POA president. It's a well-established neighborhood, sir. We're proud of it, and I'm sorry that whoever bought this lot didn't do their research properly, but I'm against the approval of this variance. Thank you.
So, there's a question. Is the dispute related to something was misrepresented by the lot seller to the buyer?
No.
I wouldn't say it was misrepresented. We looked at the deed and we talked to the surveyor who put the house on the lot and everything. And so we tried to check all of our boxes. Okay, this house will fit on this lot that we haven't purchased yet, but we are going to purchase. So we tried to do everything before we purchased it. And it turned out that, because I thought the surveyor would know, hey, the city's code is 25 feet from both streets. He told us, well, according to the deed, and so I believe the surveyor, that it was 25 feet from the front of the house. So I wouldn't say it was misrepresented or anything like that. It was just that everything we were told, the city has their say, and that's what it came to. So yeah.
Yeah, that ordinance has been in place for quite a while.
Yeah, and I didn't, I'll be honest, I'm a newer builder. My family's been building for over 20 years here. I'm kind of trying to break off and do my own thing. But I try to do, what's right by looking at the deed, talking to the surveyor.
How long do they own the house?
Say again,
I
ma'am?
mean, how long have they owned the land? When did they buy it?
I would say it was about December, November when they purchased it.
This,
Yes, ma'am. And like she had
and you're the
mentioned.
builder?
Yes, ma'am.
Why can't you build them a littler house?
Well, the biggest issue is her mom. Building a
No, 2,000 and something square feet's a lot. Two people can live smaller than that in a room. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Right, and
Okay.
I get that, but
Okay.
with it being 30 feet wide, that's an extremely narrow house. That's literally half of this
I
desk
know.
you guys are sitting at. So it's extremely narrow, it feels confining. Again,
Okay.
putting stairs in a house with a lady that really can't use them,
Okay.
it could cause an issue, and that's what I'm worried about.
Okay. Anybody else want to speak?
Well, I think what she was mentioning is the person that sold this particular lot also owns 3 additional lots next to this one that would probably be more viable to build on. Whether Vicky wants to swap lots out or something on those lines, I have no earthly idea if she wants to do that. She didn't want to sell the other lots? Okay. I live directly in front of this house too, and I'm opposed to the variance being so close. I don't know if there's any other kind of compromise that can be had. As far as, I think he said that there was it's 30 foot wide where he can build. To me, if there was a compromise, maybe build the house 40 feet and give them 20-foot variance on each side. But to build it 5 foot from the road, I think is just not tenable. It's just too close to the street. I don't know how liable the city would be if someone would ever have an accident and ram into the house. But to me, it's just too close to the street to be that close. But if there was a compromise to be had, to me, it maybe take 5 feet from each side, and instead of building a 30-foot house, build a 40-foot house, and have a 20-foot variance on each side. That way, I don't want to make this lot, a non-viable lot or non-buildable lot for them. And I do understand that 30-foot is would be a very narrow house, but downsize the house possibly, and maybe center it where it's not just right up on the street. But as far as where they have it now, I'm definitely opposed to where it's located.
Anybody else wish to speak?
Can I say one more thing? I have pictures, which I just didn't bring because I think I'm getting sick. I didn't know it. You can't hear me? Oh, jeez.
It has to be recorded, ma'am.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's record it. Okay. The house itself, during all the rain, the lot was scraped, okay? And I don't know what his timeline is, but I live there 7 days a week. The timeline was they scraped the lot, they put up a tent pole up for electricity, and then I got stakes. I went over with a 100-foot tape measure and measured everything and calculated all of it, okay? It's really not a viable lot for our neighborhood in our deed restrictions. Whatever he's saying, 20-foot setbacks, you ask Shannon, you had to do a variance on one of my neighbor's garages because his was 20 feet, and Shannon was gonna make him pour a concrete slab next to it for his boat at 25 feet. He had to come get a variance. A lot of our stuff is at 20 feet, but it's grandfathered. It's old, it's been there a long time, and the hardship of whatever this is not viable. The hardship was trying to get my neighbor to move his garage back 5 feet for Shannon. Okay, I don't think we're not asking anybody to do anything. This is a vacant lot. It has nothing on it, okay? And when the rains came 2 weeks ago, we couldn't get to our house because the water runoff on that lot flooded our street, flooded. I have pictures, but I just didn't get to CVS to get them made. But, if it's going to be a drainage problem, she told me they have to do a drainage and all this stuff. Well, let's see. They didn't even stick to the code to begin with. Are they going to do a drainage thing? Are they going to put in real good culverts and get all that water away from my neighbor's front yard?
So that's not really our issue, that's a city issue.
Well, that's a city issue, but once he gets that lot started, is he going to do all that when he didn't even stick to the code?
Well, the city ordinance doesn't allow anybody to drain on another property, so.
Well, I couldn't get to my house. I had to go all the way down Sherwood Shores, go all the way down, go all the way around Little John, all the way to get to my house. It was 2 feet, 3 feet deep, and the sand was running down the street. I'm just telling you, this is not going to be a good little deal. This is going to be it's a mess already. But.
Okay, anybody else wish to speak?
Can I see the picture of the house on the lot again?
There's no house on the lot.
No, the building.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right there.
There it is on the screen.
Is there a question?
I just wanted to see it again, how it was sitting. Okay.
Okay, we are charged by the state to determine if there is an undue burden on the property owner. I went around and looked at several different properties and everything. They all complied with the setbacks and everything. I guess we need a motion and then we will discuss.
I move that we consider approving the request from Natasha Durham involving Lot 108 in the Sherwood Shores subdivision located at 118 Little John Street, Gun Barrel City, Texas, 75156 for a hardship variance to Chapter 156.032, Single Family Detached Residential District, R3, Section C, Dimensional Requirements, Residential Use, Minimum Yard Setbacks, Front 25 feet of the Gun Barrel City Revised Code of Ordinances due to the definition laid out in Chapter 155.04, Definitions Section V, Definitions 1, front building setback line, asking for a 20-foot variance on the east side of the property according to the provided survey to allow for construction of a single-family home.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion. Like I said, we have criteria that we have to meet that is put in place by the state. So, so we'd have to determine if was a hardship. And I think from what I understand on the property, the amount of property left to build on is 3,800 and some odd feet. 3,315 square feet, allowable cover.
But it's just not in the configuration that it's currently laid out.
Yep,
Right.
That number that's written on there,
yep.
that number is the percentage of the lot that they can cover, but that's not what's left in between that. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we know what that amount is? No?
So, I mean, you know, every lot, every piece of property that has restrictions on it has restrictions on it, you know, and it's up to the owner and the developer to find the design that can fit in there. And this is an unusual case because it's an unusual lot. But, you know, it doesn't appear that any real attempt has been made to give us a viable solution here. I mean, it's just like, you know, and if it were a smaller variance that we were talking about, 5 foot or something like that, it seems more viable to me. This seems like a huge ask, and I just think on some levels, what's wanting to be built here just the property can't accommodate it. So that's it. Sorry, but that's just what it looks like to me.
Yeah, I think to your point, I think the problem is that the developer was working with incomplete or incorrect information.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
And whether it was misrepresented by the seller or it was just inconsequential, the bottom line is the information he had was just wrong.
Right. And
Have you looked at any other form of a structure on the space that's left? Or are you just staying with this? And
We looked, so with the 25 and 25 on both sides, like I said, that limits us to about a 30-foot wide house, and then we're forced to go to a 2-story. So we did look at plans, and I have a couple saved. Unfortunately, they're all 2-story, which with the older lady living there, 2-story is really the last route I absolutely want to go to. Plus
you had to go to 2-story to build the minimum?
just because if we want to do the minimum with 25 and 25, so you got 30 feet, plus even the slightest bit of a backyard, now you're with an extremely narrow house and a huge backyard, like unproportional, which is nice, but
But the backyard could be in the setback.
with it slimming down like that, the house option is severely limited. Because at that point, yeah, the upstairs is unusable. It's only usable for, her, but her mother, if anything ever happens, she'll never be able to get it up there. And if she does go up there, it's, just more of a risk. And I asked for obviously 20 feet variance. It doesn't necessarily have to be that. With 15 and 15 on both sides, 20 and 10 on both sides, I'm not sure that's more than enough room. Should, mention the drainage. 10 feet is more than enough room to fix the drainage, however the city would do that.
It's not the city that's doing it. It's you doing it. You can't do anything that'll cause it to drain on anybody else's.
Right, yeah.
So Are you telling me that you can't build a 1,250 square foot house between the two setbacks?
With 25 and 25? You could, it's just, so a 1,200 square foot, one-story house, that's extremely small and narrow. And then at that point, I'd have to build a two-story.
Have you looked at what size house that you can actually build?
If it's two-story, then
No,
it's,
I'm talking about single story.
oh,
Single story on that lot?
it's about 1,000 to 1,200. At that point, it's just really stretched, which it's a very awkward, narrow house, which you're gonna feel like you're in a shoebox.
Well, the way I look at it is the lot's big enough to build the minimum. So, I mean, it's with the setbacks.
This is a big setback when we are trying to, use our codes right. That leaves a lot of setbacks to come into and feel like, well, we did it for one, you have to do it for all, and that's not what Gun Barrel's about anymore. You
Well,
have the rules.
That's a problem. You really don't want to set a precedence on this. And like I said, I went and looked at several houses in different neighborhoods on different size lots, and they all had the setbacks, so. So right now, the motion in front of us is to approve the setbacks at their variance.
Y'all ready to vote?
Anybody got any further discussion?
I'm good.
Okay, we'll vote from my left.
I don't approve it.
Secor, no.
Mullins, no?
No.
Okay.
So there's not even a compromise that can be made. I'm stuck with 25 and 25.
As of right now,
25 feet on both sides is extremely slim. And you're not constricted by a 25 feet build line on both sides.
the decision's being made. You can go to district court and
How does a 25 feet build line on either side limit any of you? That's what I don't,
I want to put a carport in, and Shannon.
but I'm not limiting you.
Sprayed it and said,
This lot is completely separate.
hey, take the discussion outside.
You're not
Ma'am?
going to see it.
Shannon's in charge, honey.
Let's take it outside if there's any further discussion.
But there's no compromise with